Today you find me at Virgin Galactic Space Station where we are seeing Galactic 6 take off. I cannot wait to share my experience with you.
Salutations, adventurers. I'm Kathleen, creator of Beyond Typical Travel. If you're returning to us, thank you and welcome back. If you've just found us, we're so glad you did. You have found your travel tribe. If you're here, it's to learn about my Virgin Galactic adventure, and I am ready to share it with you. It was something else, certainly not what I expected. Here we go. But first, let me start at the very beginning. I wasn't exactly sure what I was getting myself into when I left on this adventure. But the magnitude of the emotions that ran the gamut throughout the entire day was the best kind of exhaustion I have felt in a very long time. Now, I knew I'd be able to see the takeoff, the landing of the space shuttle, and spend time up close and personal with the space shuttle, getting to know maybe some of the astronauts, some of the people who work there. And at the start, that's exactly what happened. But what I didn't expect was the feeling and personal envelopment of family, this friendly atmosphere, which had been created by and for Virgin Galactic and the astronauts and their family and friends. That was probably the biggest surprise that I had throughout this whole adventure. From the moment we gathered at the designated hotel lobby, I observed all the people involved, and this included those who worked for Virgin Galactic directly, third-party vendors that worked with Virgin Galactic, and also, of course, the future astronauts and their friends and family. The energy was on the rise as everybody gathered and greeted each other. Kids running amok in the lobby, keeping the adults on their toes, waking them up early. And it was an early morning. It was easy to identify those who were the future astronauts and their families. They greeted each other like old friends, smiling, hugging, and like they had already been on a journey with each other already. And knowing what I know now, they have. So then they put us all on buses, and we started our transfer from the hotel to Spaceport America. I was lucky enough to be on board with Claire Pelly, and she happily shared her knowledge and some of the history of Spaceport America, which helped us all feel more connected in the vast, ever-growing area around us.
So you see this, it's called Half Moon Street, one of our first offices in London. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Mayfair in London, but there's a road called Half Moon Street. And once we got Virgin Galactic going in 2004, and were big enough to kind of branch out from Virgin Group, we went to a different office, and one came up on Half Moon Street, and Richard said, well, come on, not like that. So that street there is named after our first office in London, Half Moon Street. That's our major reason for being here. It's also got a great high altitude and then many sunny days a year, so fantastic for flying to space. And because the government of New Mexico said to Richard Branson, Bill Richardson, I'm sure many of you are familiar with, said, if you build me a spaceship, I'll build you a space force. And Richard Branson said, okay, fine, I'll build you a spaceship if you build me a space force. And so they agreed on that many, many moons ago, back in around 2008. And that is what began the beginning of Spaceport America. So the government of New Mexico owns Spaceport America. Virgin Galactic is the anchor tenant. There are other space operators out here, for example, doing vertical launches, but we do dominate, I have to say. The building's designed by Foster and Partners. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Norman Foster and his work. The whole concept of Spaceport America is that it beds into the landscape around you. So as you can see, it sort of grows out of the landscape, as you can see from this side, in that sort of stingray distinctive shape. But when we go around the other side, you'll see the incredible glasswork, which gives these huge views out to the New Mexico landscape, and really the most optimal viewing conditions to be able to see a space flight. It is a very special place. As you can see, we are in the middle of nowhere in many ways. But that is intentional. You know, that's another reason for being here, because the FAA wants us to be in an area where there are not very many people on the ground. So that helps. The altitude helps. Every little bit obviously supports us to get up to space. The long sunny days all around the year means that we can fly, you know, weekly and then daily when time develops. And all around it's just a fantastic place to be. And, you know, New Mexico has got this incredible legacy and history of spaceflight. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. The White Sands Missile Range is where rocket motor technology developed with von Braun, who was brought over here after the Second World War. You've got the Trinity test site, which is where two of the World War II nuclear bombs were tested, which still opens for about a day a year. You can go up there and see it, and see the way that the rocks have changed formation. It's closed the rest of the year, unsurprisingly. You've got Roswell, of course, just to add a little bit of more space history there. And then right out past White Sands, there's a great little museum in Alamogordo, which lays claim to fame that they have got the first chimp who went to space. Some of the remains very bad. So it's a very, very, very special place, and New Mexico have all this wonderful space history and legacy, and now they have got the future too by having space.
Now I know that last clip was a little bit long. However, it just drives home what I had mentioned before, that the people who work for Virgin Galactic, they love what they do. And they're filled with excitement enough to share with those lucky enough to experience one of the most magnificent adventures you can have. One of the most surprising elements for myself on this journey has been that the astronauts brought with them their children and grandchildren. And you might say, well, that doesn't surprise me. But when I thought about Virgin Galactic, I didn't think family friendly, but they certainly proved me wrong. Going into this adventure with my limited perspective, it didn't include that family element. But throughout this journey, I realized that it's brought even more love and a belonging aspect to the whole event, which these lucky kids, they don't even know how lucky they are, right? This kind of experience can change the course of their lives. Maybe they'll be future astronauts. Maybe they'll be the next generation to improve upon the space-going limitations that we have right now. Wouldn't it be one of the best gifts you could give to your child or your grandchild to share this kind of life-changing adventure with them? So, are you ready to start your own adventure at Spaceport America? Not quite yet. In the links below, you will find the way to create an adventure discovery call. Just click on the Calendly link, or you can scan that QR code there on that screen, and that will take you to all the things Beyond Typical Travel can do for you. All right, let's talk about what happened next on this adventure at Spaceport America with Virgin Galactic. Once we made it into Spaceport America, we were introduced to a few of the staff members who were there to look over anyone associated with Virtuoso. Michael was our main guide. He took us on the facility tours and made sure we didn't miss a thing. Jenna was also there, and she looked in on us from time to time to make sure that all of our needs were being met. Here, the views from the second floor were absolutely amazing. That being said, there was not a Virgin Galactic staff member who did not reach out to you, smile as you passed by, and made sure that you had everything that you needed during the day. There were 2 waves of food during the day to keep everyone satiated and happy, as well as curated hot and cold beverages and a yummy barista bar. I can honestly say that the food was fresh and diverse, and it would suit almost any palate, discerning or not. After settling in and taking some time to observe the overall general excitement and the area and all the people, an announcement was made. The future astronauts were about to leave. They were going to board Mother Eve and Unity, which are the names for the two separate entities which formed the space shuttle. So everyone headed downstairs and outside to send off the future astronauts. It truly was a feeling of excitement for some family members. Some were a bit trepidatious. There were a lot of hugs, a few tears, and a ton of cheering. It was definitely a sight to behold.
It really is a privilege to have all of you be here with us at Gateway to Space at Spaceport America. There are very few things in life that can match the energy and excitement of a flight going to space. So I want everyone to take in this moment, grab this moment, grab the feeling of it, hold it inside, and remember it forever. Because there is nothing that comes close to this. And if you feel so moved, feel free to shed a tear. Feel so moved, scream as loud as you want when these astronauts are coming down this hallway in just a moment. Galactic 6 crew!
Future astronauts said their farewells, and they were escorted to the waiting vehicles. They were then driven to the shuttle in the distance. You really can't hear it very well, and it truly is difficult to explain the stimulation of the high-pitched sound and lionesque roar of the jet engines as that shuttle soared by us. But boy, was it thrilling. Initial takeoff, there was a little bit of time before we got to see the separation of Eve, also called the mothership, from Unity. So everyone went inside, grabbed some food, tried to take some time to process everything that was happening. And so while I was waiting in line to get my beverage, I struck up a conversation with the person who was next to me, and it just happened to be a future astronaut. His name is Andy Sigani. He politely agreed to do an exclusive interview with Beyond Typical Travel. It was so exciting to hear his thought processes and what made him choose to pursue such an extraordinary dream of becoming an astronaut with Virgin Galactic. So make sure to like and subscribe so you can be one of the first to view this exclusive interview, which will debut in a few days to come. Now, this next video clip I'm going to show you is really difficult to see just exactly what is happening. So the live portion will be on the right side, but a pre-recorded portion of what is happening, I borrowed the footage from Virgin Galactic, so you can actually get a better understanding of what is happening at this very moment. Shortly after Unity disappears from our eyesight, Virgin Galactic started a live stream on televisions outside and inside the area, Family members crowded around them, watching, cheering, hugging, and crying tears of joy for their friends and family as they arrived in outer space. So they too could join in the adventure of their loved ones. Virgin Galactic seemed to do all in their power to make this adventure not only for the astronauts, but for the family and friends as well. And you could surely feel their infectious emotions throughout this experience.
Branson, 91,000.
By the way, CJ actually positions Unity up in microgravity using the reaction control system. It's just a joystick attached to compressed air. Doesn't take a lot to move that ship.
So fast. Oh, that was so fast.
Flying space against the bright blue on planet Earth. The sun illuminating Earth.
The strength and transmission of the emotional element is what I was most unprepared for. Yes, you go into an adventure like this expecting anticipation, excitement, thrills, happiness, and even the feeling of awe, right? But what you actually get with this adventure is not only your emotions, but those of the people around you. And it's magnified by the rarity of the experience. At this point in the day, there was another period of waiting. We ate, we reflected, we chatted. The next video clip I'm going to show you, you're going to see a wingman to Unity. The wingman takes off, and her job is, as Unity makes her way back through Earth's atmosphere, one and sometimes two small airplanes are launched to guide Unity back to Earth, take images, and monitor her overall health. Able to hear it, but there were two sonic booms just as Unity was re-entering the atmosphere. It was really thrilling. If you didn't hear it, you might want to rewind and see if you can catch it the second time. Some of these videos are a bit on the long side, I know that, but what I want to convey is the sentiment felt by the people who were on the ground experiencing this. If you listen closely and watch their reactions, you can gain a good understanding of this adventure. And that was the whole point of this video. I wanted to share this adventure with you. Now, when Unity was landing, she was hauling butt. The video just doesn't do it justice, but it really was exciting. So as Unity was escorted up with her pilot and crew, everyone waited in anticipation for the safe delivery of her astronauts. And as amazing as it was to watch Unity actually touch down, the real party started once the newly minted astronauts stepped out of Unity and joined their friends and family once again. all of the astronauts had finally exited Unity, they were given the opportunity to say a few words. Now, some of the speeches were quite lengthy, so I've included just a few snippets from my favorite parts of what they had said. And as you can see and hear, they clearly were overwhelmed by their experiences.
Well, whoever said the sky's the limit has never met any of the talented people here at Virgin Galactic. Yeah! And even when we were going through boost and got up top, all of us had these huge smiles on our faces and just loved it. And I think Robbie and I were talking about this right when we were rolling back in. The Earth is even more beautiful from space than you even see it in any picture, any screensaver, or what have you. Robbie, Franz, Lena, we didn't know each other a week ago, other than a couple Zoom calls, and now we're all great friends, and we will be for life. All of us, to paraphrase an old beer commercial, we don't travel to space all that much, but when we do, we choose Virgin Galactic.
What we have observed today is not just a manned mission to space, but the result of free enterprise, perseverance, success and failure, sweat and tears, and the tangible result of the indomitable spirit that thrives within man. First point, you need to live a little bit outside of your comfort zone because you can be even more than you dream. Eddie Whitson, former NASA chief astronaut. Second quote is, life is short, and we do not have much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. Henry O'Neill, 1868. Thank you.
I felt like, I didn't know how it felt. So, number one, it's not flat. Number two, we actually had 5 on the crew. This is officially the first space traveling gnome. You should get the Philippines too. And third one, this is where my heart lies, for trying to inspire young kids and definitely young girls and young women. Don't ever give up. If you dream of something, like I did when I was a little kid, and I thought it's never gonna happen, but I never give up on that dream. Inspire one child. I'll give you a chance.
At this point in the day, all the astronauts had completed the adventure that they had set out to do. We, on the other hand, were given the opportunity to tour the command center, the training center, and the bay where they cared for and stored the different elements of the space shuttle, as well as given the chance to see Unity up close and personal. And although we weren't able to take images or video of most of that, the most beautiful element we were allowed to film was Unity herself. Bringing this adventure to an end, on top of all the other amazing experiences I had during this adventure, I think the one that tops them all is that I was given the rare opportunity to actually enter in Unity. I was allowed to touch the seats that the astronauts had just sat in, observe the beautiful porthole windows that were on the ceiling and the sides. It was an awe-inspiring moment, understanding that I was standing in a place that had just been to space mere minutes before. I truly felt blessed to have that experience. Well, that's it this time. If your space fever has been launched, please contact us soon. We'll get this adventure started for you. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. You click that button, it really does help to support us. Ta-ta for now. Wishing you safe travels and great adventures ahead.